Well, good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. It's the second day in the week, and I'm Jeffrey Uzama.
Good morning, everyone watching from anywhere you are in the world. Thank you for joining us on the Morning Brief. I'm Ann Nwawadu.
Tuesday, August the 20th. August is winding down slowly.
Someone was just saying it's just 4 months to December.
Come on. Welcome to the show. I'm Kayode Okikelu.
And as you would expect, we have a lot to talk about on the program today. And of course, you too, I'm sure you have a lot you've been talking about. We're going to get to that in just a moment. So, Kayode, what's been going on?
Well, that's a trick question. Because at every given moment, there are lots of things going on. And then you have to just properly put them in different segments. I think one of the major issues that really caused me a lot of concern yesterday, particularly, something playing out in Akwa Ibom State. Well, when you hear about the oil-rich region, a lot of people think about the richness of the oil. But a lot of people forget that there's also the downsides, which is the pollution that happens from time to time. No, I take that back. That happens often. For some people, that is their daily reality. So there is the rich side, and there's that other side as well. You're looking at images from Ibeno, local government area of Akwa Ibom State, where we understand that there's been a spillage of oil in that area. And it's just really sad seeing images of fish, right? Fish that you're meant to consume, dead. And that's the reality for them. So you wonder first, how are they getting by in terms of getting water? Because a lot of these areas don't have potable water. They rely on the water that is available to them naturally. So first, water for washing, for all of that. Then fish for food. That is gone. Then you talk about the farms as well, because there's meant to be some sort of sense of agriculture going on there. That also affects the crops and eventual, production of food. So it is worrisome, the fact that these people are crying out, and they are saying that they're not getting as much attention as they ought to in that area. That, for me, is one major area of concern. There are other issues, Jeffrey, definitely, but this one is just tugging at my heart.
A lot of times, too, that most of the work that those people around that area do is a fisher. Most of them are fishermen. Yeah. So you begin to ask, what will be their source of livelihood after things like this happen? We've also seen lots of battles with oil companies, international oil companies, telling them, oh, you're not even taking most of us as workers, so you just come here, mess up the environment, and you're not giving as much back to the society or the community. So we've seen lots of battles around that subject, but we just hope that there is a common ground somehow for oil companies, for the community, because the environment, we're talking about global warming right now, and then you're causing even more harm to this environment which they rely on in terms of food, in terms of living and all of that. So I just hope that of course, you're going to clean up is still a topic that we don't even know where they are at the moment in terms of the cleanup exercise and all of that. So I just hope that...
I was just smiling when you guys are talking, because this is the reality I lived in. This local government is not far from my local government. I'm from a local government that has oil, so I understand this firsthand than a lot of people. So this is the reality. So when you hear Niger Delta people agitate, these are the things they talk about. This is just one of the many, and if you know anything about oil, when it spills, the damage can take tens of years, literally. You know what's going on with the Ogoni cleanup and the water body. These are areas where my parents were saying that there was a time in the village where you could actually start cooking, get to the backyard, go catch fish, and come and, continue your cooking with. But it got so bad at some point that they now buy ice fish.
Come on.
Do you understand that? Do you understand the change?
Come on.
And
Very
if you go
drastic.
to some of these oil rig areas, you can see the rig looks like a little London, and just not too far away, you can see abysmal, abject poverty. So when you see people in Niger Delta agitate, these are the things. So I know this firsthand. I've lived in the village, I've lived in the city. We've seen all of this time and again. And we must say, contextualize it, there are players across board, from state actors, non-state actors, community, and all of that. The NNPCL has even said sometimes, after every 100 kilometers or so, there's about a couple of insertions on their pipeline and all of these things. That's why the PIA provided about 3% or so. They argue that it's not enough to compensate. Yeah. That 3%, we don't know how well it's doing, because I'm from an oil-producing community. I've not heard much about it. And
we don't even know if it really gets to those
whether if it gets to the community, it really gets to the people. Sure. So that's why people are saying this kind of funds, don't give it to politicians or the traditional rulers. Look for project. Let it be project-based.
Yes.
And get the money so that everybody can benefit in one form or the other. So what is going on in the place is called Ibadan.
Yeah.
27 local government is one of the coastal areas. So we have Eastern Obolo, Ibadan, all of those places, they are coastal area, rich in oil. But as you said, Kayode, this is the downside of being an oil-rich and oil-producing community. But we hope the government can do this. Look at what's going on with the Ogoni. That's why the Ogoni people had to chase oil companies out and say, look, you can't be exploiting us and we don't get anything out. But finally, they've said, come back. A man died for that cause. In fact, men died for that cause at the end of the day. So it's a sad tale that we have to talk about every other day. But we hope that the government can live up to expectations to make sure that the people in these communities that they are, as you guys have said, source of livelihood. It's a normal thing that as soon as this spill happens, forget the fish, forget the aquatic bodies, because the crude oil is so toxic and so powerful, yet so useful, all at the same time.
You know what we'll do? We're actually going to bring people closer to these situations, because there's a tendency to forget. You just hear oil production, and what people are looking at, oh, we've not hit 2 million barrels per day. But there are communities that are, you know, taking the hit for those barrels of oil per day that the whole nation will share eventually. And it's good, and you mentioned the Ogoni cleanup, $1 billion, 8+ years or thereabout. And as at last year, I think it was 1/3 of a cleaning. And people are asking, why is it taking this long? It will take long. But whether or not it is meeting the timeline is another thing entirely. I know they've said that, well, let's have all hands on deck and all of that. But the point is, this needs to happen, and we need to ensure that it's firing on all cylinders. $1 billion, last time I checked, $300 million released. Come on, we need to do way better. I know there's a dashboard, and it's important for the people there to also speak out when these issues are dragging, and it's good to see the people of Ibadan. Jeffrey, did I get that right?
Yeah, Ibadan. So Ibadan. You have...
Speaking out, because they protested to one of the IOCs. Yeah. They said that Nostra was there as well, so it's important to engage and ensure that the right thing is done.
So you have Ibadan on one side, you have Mbo, you have Eastern Obolo, you have all of this. They're just like coastal communities. Yeah. So you grew up in a village and you see this rig with, what do you call it, flare and all of that. So there are different dimensions to what do you call it, pollution when it comes to the oil-rich environment. But we hope that authorities will do the right thing. For me, the most painful, I wish I can take you guys on an helicopter so you understand.
We'll do that.
Practically what we're saying.
No, it's important to bring the story closer
you're flying,
to the people.
I'll tell you this, you're flying over a rig or where these installations are. So you're seeing that light 24 hours, everything is superb. And then just by there, you're seeing community in abject poverty, no good houses, no good water, nothing.
The people are blaming ExxonMobil, right? And we expect to get some sort of statement and reaction from them because the people are not happy. There was a protest yesterday. So it's important to get that response.
All right, but that is not all we're talking about today. Let's get to some of the things we'll be dealing with today. The fuel scarcity, has it left your area? Well, we live in Lagos, Nigeria. It stays with us right here. So we'll be getting the view of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria to come in and explain to us. Yesterday, it was the retailers outlet that explained to us, Mr. Harris Gillis told us what is going on in terms of supply chain. But for independent marketers or independent petroleum marketers, what exactly is the reason for this round of shortage of supply in terms of PMS that Nigerians have to hit the streets yet again to look for fuel for their vehicles and, of course, for their generators? We'll find out.
Of course, we'll also be talking about the issue of conducting drug tests for students. Experts maintain that there is a correlation between drug use, crime, and violence. Perhaps this is why the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency is now proposing drug tests for students to serve successor generation. But is this feasible? And NDLEA will be here to explain how possible and the possible outcome of this test.
But that's not all. On the final home stretch, this is what we'll do, guys. You get to meet a 73-year-old fitness enthusiast. There you see her, who is defying all odds to stay fit and healthy. We find out what is her secret. So you have to stay with us to find out, particularly if you're Gen Z and you're thinking, wait a minute, I'm still in my 20s. I have like 50 years to go. And this woman is doing amazing stuff. So we're going to ask her how she is rocking it at 73, guys. Look at that.
For the record, that woman you're looking at on your screen is 73. So let's re-emphasize it. You got to meet her later on the show. Unless I'm just looking, I said, Jeff, you got to do something.
Septuagenarian.
You got to do something.
I like the part where Jeffrey says he got to do something, because Jeffrey and exercise is like 1 and 0, 0 and 10.
I used to do a lot of exercise,
So what
but to be
happened?
very fair, you know, I used to do. I just had to slow down. I used to do something that's close to bodybuilding when I was younger. Maybe I used to have more muscle than this. No, but now I
Don't worry, we'll get Jeffrey back to that.
I try to read more books.
Maybe this woman would inspire Jeffrey to continue.
We'll never know. But it's going to be a delight to have her on the show, just to have her inspire all of us, as well as our generation and our generation. Given what we've seen cropping up in the lives of young people, this is an absolute necessity. So this is one motivator you do not want to miss. But we'll bring you all of that after we'll bring you your top stories. And then, of course, the stories we've been tracking on social media before I get to the conversation for the day. Join us again. Top on the brief this morning is a clarity and confirmation that indeed the presidential fleet, now comprised of a brand new Airbus A330, which President Bola Tinubu traveled with to France for what his handlers described as a brief work stay without further detail. The president departed Abuja, I should say, less than 24 hours ago on the new presidential jet will replace the 19-year-old Boeing B737 BBJ bought under the presidency of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. In a statement by Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Nanuga, the new plane was bought far below the market price, saving Nigeria huge maintenance and fuel costs running into millions of dollars yearly. It says the recommendation to replace the old plane followed investigative hearing by the National Assembly over its safety record and cost efficiency, especially after it malfunctioned during a trip to Saudi Arabia. The issue of a new presidential jet has been engulfed in controversy as the people question the timing given the current economic challenges facing the country. And while the president was away, the vice president holding the fort in his absence, he says that the federal government is determined to fight corruption and stop illegal financial flows. He gave the assurance at the General Assembly of the Network of Anti-Corruption Institutions in West Africa in the nation's capital, Abuja, where he explains that strengthening legislation to curb corruption is crucial to stopping the menace in the region. Before the vice president's remarks, the EFCC chairman and the Minister of Foreign Affairs took turns to add to the subject matter on curbing corruption.
As leaders, we are all responsible for confronting this challenge head-on with unwavering resolve and concerted actions. We have worked hard over the past year to strengthen all the anti-corruption agencies in Nigeria by not interfering in their activities and ensuring that they are adequately funded.
Meanwhile, later today, the national president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Mr. Ajay, is expected to honor an invitation by the Nigerian police over allegation of terrorism financing, treasonable felony and subversion and cybercrime in an investigation that is going on that they said his name was mentioned. The letter by the intelligence response team of the force enjoins the NLC boss to appear for an interview by 10 a.m. this morning for an investigation. The letter signed by ACP Adamu Mwazo warned the Labour leader from dishonoring the invitation to avoid the activation of a warrant of arrest. Recall that a few weeks ago, the NLC had alleged an invasion on its national headquarters by the police, who claim to be in search of seditious materials in connection with the End Bad Governance protest. But the police denied the invasion. Rather, it says it was in search of a wanted terrorist who uses one of the shops in the Labour House as front to perpetrate crime. It's now a matter of weeks to when the sales of crude oil to Dangote refinery and other refineries in local currency will commence, as October 1, 2024 has now been announced as the date for it to take effect. That's somewhat of a cherry news is coming from the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, during a meeting with the Implementation Committee in Abuja. In a post on X, the Finance Minister explains that the meeting to review progress of the transition to crude oil sales in Naira outlined key roles for stakeholders, including upstream, midstream, and downstream oil and gas industry regulators, the Central Bank and Afrexim Bank, to ensure smooth implementation while emphasizing on transparency in the process. The chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, who chairs the technical subcommittee, Dr. Zak Adedeji, says the first PMS delivery from Dangote refinery is expected next month under existing agreements. In the meantime, a 5-member panel of the Supreme Court has reserved judgment in the Bayelsa and Kogi States governorship election over the conduct and outcome of the November 2023 polls. At the center of this dispute, Governor Doye Diri of Bayelsa State and Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi State, who were declared winners of the poll by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, last year. A former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mr. Timipri Silva of the All Progressives Congress, and Maritala Ajaka of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, who are challenging the declaration made by INEC on the outcome of the elections. However, the separate governorship election petition tribunals and the Court of Appeal, both of which sat in Abuja in their respective findings, affirmed the declaration of the electoral body on various grounds. Let's move on now. Later today, a Chief Justice of Nigeria, I should say, Justice Walter Nohen, will resume his legal battle at the Court of Appeal, Abuja, against the judgment of the Code of Conduct Tribunal that ordered his removal from office in 2019. The former head of the Nigerian judiciary, in a suit filed at the Court of Appeal since 2019, is praying the Court of Appeal to avoid or void and set aside the CCT judgment delivered against him on April the 18th, 2029. In his appeal, Justice Onohen, through his lead counsel, Adeboyega Awomolo, is asking the appellate court to quash his conviction primarily on the grounds that of want of jurisdiction, bias, and absence of fair hearing. The CCT in 2019 convicted Justice Onohen all the 6-count charges of breach of code of conduct for public officers brought against him by the federal government while in office as head of the country's judiciary. And in also cherry news, see if the threat by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, is anything to go by, given that the union has just issued a 21-day ultimatum to the federal government for a planned nationwide strike over non-implementation of the renegotiated 2009 agreement with the government. The notice is part of the resolutions reached at the National Executive Committee meeting of the ASU held at the University of Ibadan at the weekend. Although the union is yet to make its position public, a senior member of the union told our correspondent in Abuja that lecturers agreed to put the federal government on a 21-day notice before embarking on the planned industrial action. Let's talk business. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has again said the Port Harcourt refinery will start producing premium motor spirit next month, September. Now, remember, they said August. Now, the chief financial officer of the state oil firm, Umar Ajia, confirmed this to journalists, explaining how the refinery has begun the production, and the production will soon be submitted to regulators for certification before being released to the market. Mr. Ajia also dismissed claims about subsidy payments, clarifying that the company was only covering the PMS importation shortfall between NNPCL and the Federation. Is peace in the horizon on the international scene? That's the question following the remarks by U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, that Israel has accepted a proposal to bridge gaps in ceasefire negotiation, and the next step is for Hamas to accept ahead of a further negotiation expected to take place later this week. That disclosure was made in Tel Aviv by Blinken. Earlier, Mr. Blinken said the push to finalize the ceasefire and hostage deal in Gaza has reached what he called decisive moment as he visited Israel before he would be heading south to Egypt. And in sports, Chelsea have agreed a deal about £46.3 million with Atletico Madrid to sign João Phillips, meaning Conor Gallagher's transfer to the Spanish club is back on. Felix is expected to be joining Chelsea for a £42 million fixed fee plus £4.3 million in add-ons, that's pounds I should say, which could make the transfer eventually worth an excess of £46 million, as the 24-year-old forward is scheduled to undergo a Chelsea medical later today and is expected to sign a 6-year contract that includes the option for a further year. Well, let's see how that will help Chelsea. Of course, those are the stories we've been tracking in the last 24 hours, later part of this morning, and which will form part of our conversation for the program and the rest of the day. And now joins me as we bring you up to speed with what you have been talking about on X, our platform of choice, where you've been ventilating your thought. Our responsibility and is to allow them amplify their thoughts right on the show.
And of course, vent as much as possible. But the first one, which caused a lot of talk around social media yesterday, was the NDLEA proposing mandatory drug tests for students seeking university admission. Well, we had your thoughts on that. And we'll begin with this one from Oseni Aziz Owolabi, who says that this is a welcome development because lots of youth have engaged in drug abuse. Of course, that's what I guess is saying, by ruining their life. This is a good development.
All right, Bluebird, your handle is called No Risks. What happens when a candidate tests positive to drug use? Where are the rehabilitation programs and centers? What programs do you have in place to manage them and get them back on track to live a healthy, normal life? Are you planning to do the same to politicians too? Seems they need it more. Good gesture still, considering how much damage drugs is causing, I should say, to our society. But the bulk of the effort shouldn't be just identify drug users, but it should be on rehabilitation and prevention. So he's saying, go the 9 yards.
Well, Bernard Bugsy says that this should be done before every semester exam. It's essential because students are typically innocent when they start, but they might get influenced by the wrong crowd as time goes on.
Ukeagbo Onwuke said this is a useless proposition that will only add to the cost and bottlenecks in assessing university education by ordinary Nigerians. And who says some of those that pass the admission drug test cannot become druggies before they graduate. Government should rather focus effort in ensuring effective learning environment that will keep students busy and productive with little or no time in indulgence. So he's saying it's a useless.
Some have said it's useless, while some have okayed this. I mean, but also we begin to ask the question, some of the questions, like I like the second part where he said, what are the alternatives? So when they test positive, what happens? You just throw them out and say, oh, because you are positive, you can't attend, which would also affect our education system at the end of the day, because we're trying to get more people to go to school, right? So are there plans on grounds to ensure that, okay, there's an alternative or there's a solution or the rehab, something at least to help them get out of it? And this is coming from Natuiv. It says that good one, it should also be expanded to those who are contesting for political offices. You know,
Bubu Marwa, the retired general, had actually mentioned this before the election. Yes, he mentioned, I think he came up with a suggestion that all politicians contesting for office should be tested. I don't know what the rationale was. Perhaps he's seen how some of them behave when they're in office. Say, this one cannot be normal. Perhaps, I don't know. But he's talked about that, of course. He didn't fly at the end of the day.
I think security agencies also.
Yeah. Okay, fuel scarcity will supply only what we have. You know, we had a conversation yesterday with Billis Harris, the chairman of Petran, yesterday on the morning brief, and he talked about the fact that there are challenges with supply from the NNPCL end, but they can only supply what they have. So people have been reacting. This is coming from Oluwaseyi O, says, sometimes I ask myself, if we don't have crude oil, probably we won't be having fuel scarcity every now and then. NNPCL should quickly look into it.
All right, Musa Jida says that 6th largest exporter of crude oil in the world, suffering from its own blessing. Those are heavy words.
Linus Lincoln says, please, who is the government paying the so-called subsidies? So, to when? I'm trying to understand what
yeah, so subsidies
yeah, okay. When we don't have fuel at the fuel stations, and a few who have said they don't have much, yet the FG is paying mind-blowing subsidies. Please go. Which fuel consumption? Okay, please go. Which fuel consumption? So much consumption. Okay, has entered pidgin. I didn't catch it.
Yes.
All right.
So let's hear this one from Narrowscope, who says that it is palpable that there is an abundance of fuel available, but the threat of distribution is the major challenge. Oil marketers should swing to their jobs and stop a failure mourning.
That is why we will be having the Ipman leadership here to explain to us their own version of the story, because it's a lot of moving parts. There is the NNPCL element, there is the federal government element, there is the holding.
There's the black marketers element.
There's so many elements, so sometimes it's just, but our job is to talk about it. So this is what we have promised and we will continue to do, to bring perspective, to contextualize it properly, and then you can make out what you want out of it. So at the end of the day, NNPCL said they are having this challenge. They've had that challenge before. They call it mother to daughter vessel. So the big ship cannot come to a certain point. So the small ship picks it up from where it can and brings it and berths, and then they offload and then truck out and all of those. So that in itself has questions, challenges. They say logistics and weather can affect it. But the question we ask again, shouldn't we have like tanks or reservoir where when the shortages are there, they just mark up?
Like a reserve, something.
Some sort of, I'm sure that is available. I don't know what capacity. And I know America has those reserves. Some of the reason why some global north country buy crude oil is to just have it in their reserve. In case there's war somewhere and they can't buy whatever, they have
something to back, like a backup somehow.
For some time.
All right, so we'll go to the next topic, which you've been talking about, which is the earning of 29 million naira a month by Ishaku Abo, which he said, earning 29 million naira a month is not a lot of money. I became poorer when I quit my successful business to become a senator. Those words were coming from Senator Ishaku Abo.
Yeah, Ishaku Abo, he didn't make it to the Senate this time. I think he's a two-time service senator. At some point, he was one of the youngest senators. And he's saying 29 million is not so much for him, because he used to be a businessman and he did very well. Well, I'm not going to comment on that. It's your job to do that. Uncle Choi says, what he said may be true. If you stay around a politician and see how much they spend weekly, you will know 29 million may make a senator poorer. You service from family members to followers, constituents. The pressure a politician gets in Nigeria is too much.
Well, Sales Owana says that 29 million, maybe he over-exaggerated. I can't believe senators in Nigeria are paid that high.
So Senator Kawu Sulaiman, who was with us the other day, said 21.
Talked about 21 million.
Ishaku Abo, former senator, is saying 29. So they're in their 20s, in the millions. So this is what Nigerians are saying. So you may be a billionaire, maybe even if Dangote comes now and say he wants to run for Senate, he will account for every 10 naira we give him. That is how public service works. So if you're not comfortable with accountability, stay out of the kitchen. That's the way it works in public service. So even if you were rich before you come into public service, you'll be, because the reason is because they aggregate all our money and call it our commonwealth. So we give you to manage. So the one we're paying you want to see what you're using it for.
And of course, you said you want to come to serve. So it's about service to humanity at the end of the day.
Do they have pressure from constituents? Absolutely, I agree. Crypto Range says it's alarming that a senator earns 29 million a month while many citizens struggle to make ends meet. This highlights the deep corruption in the system. There's no justification for such outrageous salaries when the nation's priorities should be on improving lives, not enriching a few. So let's contextualize it again, Anne. Their salary is just about 1 million naira.
Yes.
1,063,000 naira.
Then running costs.
Then they have a running cost, which is the one people are frowning on. The running cost comes to almost 19 million, according to Suleiman Kawu. That is the one the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission did not explain to us. They only talked about salaries and allowances, regular allowances and non-regular allowances that run for 4 years. And you have the next one.
All right, Panis Binge says that, so quit being a senator and go back to your successful business, whatever that is. You politicians always find ways and words to justify your corrupt nature. You're earning 29 million naira a month, while most Nigerians cannot even afford a square meal, and you come on air to say it isn't a lot.
All right, Betty Nwabunike says, I feel like crying for Africa because of leadership, but I won't. Your fellow citizens are earning 35,000, she said, or he says. You say 29 million is what? No worries, God bless you. All continue to enjoy it. The country is for you people. God bless you. That this is like the person is just frustrated. Don't really know how to put this together. But
you know,
I know it's not a laughing matter, but what can we do?
All right, we move to the next one now. Well, federal government ordered varsities to submit admission list and threatened sanctions against defaulters and fake graduates. We heard the news in the course of the weekend about some fake graduates and what the government says they will do to them. And this first one is coming from Kaz SEMB, who says that the fight against fake degrees just got real. The federal government is cracking down, ordering universities to submit admission list or face the consequences. And you know, Jeffrey, something trended on social media where they said, oh, a bread seller who didn't even go to school was found in the NYSC camp, and you're asking, how did that even happen?
It's amazing. It's amazing the things that happen in the country. So for context, bread sellers can go to school, but this one we heard did not even go to school. Did not go to school. Did not attend classes, but was in the NYSC camp. Okay, that's why the government is swinging into action. Swan_Brass says, okay, I think it's another person. It's the second part of perhaps the person's comments. And most of them, their certificates are without any security features known to employers because nobody monitors their website. Employers can't immediately verify suspicious certificates. NYSC even do nothing, can't even do anything rather.
RFM Ofiva says that some fake graduates have climbed height in hierarchy of the organizations. Well, that happens. How that happens, I do not know.
When you want to run for, if you want to run for political office now, and you will now know that your great-grandmother had a great-grandmother who used to be one great.
They will dig everything.
They'll dig it out. All right, Richard Ian says, that's good news. Most times students have passed JAMB and got posted to schools, never got admissions. They are frustrated through dubious rules and they are slots sold to a highest bidder, especially in this, Southeast universities. I don't know, maybe you have to prove that. Can NUC really claim ignorance of these practices? NUC will answer you, and you have the next one.
All right, that's on that topic now. We move to a new one, which is about President Bola Tinubu approving the request of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, that's the NNPCL, to use the 2023 dividends due to the Federation to pay for petrol subsidy. So we've seen a lot of talk about petrol subsidy. Has it gone? Some have said no, it just reduced. So now the President has approved that the 2023 dividends due to the Federation will be used to pay petrol subsidy. And let's hear this one from Alomin, who says that the truth is floating the naira at some time with subsidy removal further push the economy to the current state. The IMF advice is always to devalue so that they can keep borrowing to weaken the nations, and here we are. Until this administration revisits some of their policies, or things will bite harder. We had an economist on the show last week talking about how floating the naira hasn't really worked out, and he gave an example of how it happened in Germany, and they had to get back to getting a new currency because that didn't work out. So we're asking now, what is the floating of the naira? What has it done so far for the country? Well, these are the things that we'll be discussing.
Well, the government will always say we're living fake life. So naira is finding its level. That's what they'll say, or they've been saying. Prince Dollars S says, why don't they pay the dividends directly to the shareholders? That is the government, like normal companies do. That's how dividends should be handled. This scheme sounds a bit fishy. So there are different explanations that I can't get into from the way the contract is being carried out, what they call production sharing contract that has royalty oil, cost oil, profit oil, tax oil that is shared between IOCs and company. And then there are monies that come to the Federation account. Before now, paying subsidy, and then NNPC would underwrite all of that because it's NNPC that's paying on our behalf. So the money you're supposed to use to pay now
it's such a long chain. And
I don't
so
want to go into all of that. I'll allow the economists to break it down for us. Humphrey Plough Jogger says, okay.
Yeah, Adonio Lorisha.
Okay.
He says that from subsidy is gone, leading to hyperinflation and suffering for everyone. Now to NNPC dividend is gone, and the money was used to pay for subsidy. That is also gone. Government money magic.
All right, Johnson says, FG stop paying these oil cabals in the name of subsidies by allowing Dangote Refinery to begin its PMS production and permanently phase out the subsidy payment. Why is this so difficult to do? Save the nation from financial bleeding. NNPC is having issues on their own as well, you know, financial challenges. And they've come to say, look, we're not owing. There's an arrangement with the creditors. But the point is that is account payable in your what we call balance your balance sheet, if that's an old name. Statement of financial position.
Way of saying. All right, so let's get this one going, because a lot of people are into cryptocurrency. While some understand it, some don't even understand it. But I don't know how they're going to receive this news about the federal government of Nigeria introducing new tax laws by September that targets the regulation of the cryptocurrency industry. And this first one is coming from I Am Vade, who says that ban crypto, now tax crypto. Already, our taxes are increased in general, but we've seen no reasonable outcome so far. This administration is self-centered and inconsiderate. I genuinely hope the crypto bros find a way to bypass this. As usual, this government does not deserve our money.
Yesoko says, how do you tax the sector of the economy you are blacklisted? I thought crypto has been banned in the country. This is a question for Laddie Thompson.
Laddie Williams.
Laddie Williams,
I should say.
Laddie is the king of crypto. You'll be able to explain better.
Zabiru Mashud says that, well, I'm opposing this new tax on cryptocurrency as long as we will be able to trade and purchase cryptocurrencies via our local bank cards, then it is fine.
Well, the next one is a bit of a cheery news. When I saw this story, I just felt certain way as a Nigerian. So we live in a free society that people should naturally go to their places of work. I came to work without a security, without anything. Yeah, I'm sure you came without. We just do our thing and come. But now farmers have to go to farm with the need for security, because they want to go to farm and come back. They don't want to be killed. They don't want to be kidnapped and all of that. I know people carry security, but this one, because of the food crisis we're having, the supply in terms of food and the food inflation, the government had to do something and do something quickly. So they decided, okay, let's get the soldiers, please protect these farmers and let them do what they have to do. Well, It's Just Us says, it's important to recognize the multifaceted nature of food security while securing food. Securing farms through the deployment of security agencies is a crucial step in ensuring that farmers can work without the threat of violence or theft. It is not a complete solution to food insecurity.
And let's go to Ramatu Olaniyi, who says that, so will the army be there all year round, every year? Why not take the combat to the bandits and defeat them at once? It's sad it had to come to this time when
very hard.
Something that should have happened ever since.
Let's just say that, Shugbo, we saw your own. You say it's long overdue and it shouldn't be not only. Mr. Stanley Chike says, thank you to the Nigerian Army for listening to the cry you've made for troops to deploy for a long time. So those are the stories, the comments we've been following through and bringing it and amplifying it right here on the show on X. Bring it on. Remember, WhatsApp is also there for you to send your messages and videos as we continue the conversation of the show. But we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to the very first conversation for the day. Join us again.
the difficulty is hinged on the supply challenges emanating from ship-to-ship transfer. NNPC is working hard even to give products to us as retail outlet owners or as marketers. And all we are waiting for is just these supplies that they have started working with to arrive in our depots on all the coastal areas in Lagos, Delta, Rivers, Calabar, so that we can be able to lift this product and distribute same in all our retail outlets. NNPC has not changed prices. As of today, we still buy at the template which they have provided. The only challenge we have with buying directly from the NNPC is that this supply challenge is affecting us. If it were not so, almost all the retail outlets will sell just within a bracket of what has been approved. And also, why you can see some price differences within a given area is that maybe the two filling stations did not get their product sourced directly from NNPC. They may have sourced it from second level, third tier levels, and at those points, prices will change because also the logistics to move them from one location to the other will also change.
Well, two sectors have been quite problematic. Well, three, really, for Nigerians. Talk about security, the food sector, that's agriculture, and of course the petroleum sector. In agriculture, they say, well, we're looking at the whole value chain from farm to your table. And we're doing the same, really, for the petroleum sector. We're taking a look at the issues from, would I say, the rig or the depth to your tank, whether it's your fuel tank of your car or the fuel tank of your generating set, whatever. But the point is, today Nigerians are still queuing for petrol. Some have been doing this for weeks. For some others, it's a major headache trying to get petrol, getting it for higher prices, getting it after long hours of waiting. And for some other people, they're not even buying petrol, but they have to stay in traffic gridlock as a result of people queuing for petrol. So this morning, we're taking a look at another end of the value chain. We've looked at the retailers, those who have at least, or are meant to have the petrol in their filling stations, do not have. So we took a look at that. That's how you heard, or that's why you heard Dr. Billy Gillis-Harry right there. He's the head of Petron. And we've also taken a look at where we get the crude oil from. This morning, in a local government area in Akwa Ibom State, you've seen the result of crude oil exploration in that local government area. But very soon we'll be taking a look at another part of the value chain, and that is the supply area with the independent petroleum marketers. It's a lot, really, to wrap our heads around. So we'll try to troubleshoot as much as we can. I mean, seeing images from Ibeno. So if people are paying this much for us to get crude out of the depths and we take it out to refine and still we don't have the petrol, you wonder what is the point of all of this, guys. So it's a major one that we'll be looking at this morning as we have Ipman joining us on the show. We'll ask questions about when Petron says NNPC is working hard or NNPC is doing well. Are they feeling that hard work? Are they getting the supply now? What has changed, if anything has changed? Because this is a lifeblood of our economy, guys. And I know for a lot of people, it is a price that is still a major issue. Why are we still buying it for this much? Where are they getting the supply from then? So should we just allow these people to start importing? If it looks like NNPC has challenges getting this product from mother to daughter vessels, how about you just open it up so there are other options for Nigerians?
Yes, I know. You know, when I was reading the news at 10 on Sunday, Babajide Ogunsanya was trying to analyze and give data of what the problem really is, how from the refineries to the oil marketers, and then how it goes to the government, and then they come back again and say it's the oil bunkers. And so a lot, the chain is so long, and then you talk about landing costs for oil also. It's being a major problem too. So the government is trying to see how to bridge that gap, but in trying to bridge that gap also, so many things are getting affected. So how do you then I don't know how to come to the middle in all of this. I mean, I hope that when we talk to the Ipman boss, he'll be able to explain why the cost of fuel is expensive, why there is no fuel first in even the first instance. If we're saying, okay, we have decided to pay for this, why are we not even getting it? Why is it not getting to the place where it should? The hoarding also to oil marketers. I know that so many petrol stations, the government has said, if we catch you hoarding, then your license will be withdrawn. But how possible is that? Are actions there? Is the NPR and DA, are they even there on ground to see who is selling what and how the hoarding process? Because when you go to the black market and you see how much they make on fuel, and people just want to even buy it first. People just even want to get it. Oh, is one jerry can 50,000? Just bring. Let's even have fuel to use. You know, so it's really a very difficult situation right now for a lot of Nigerians.
So at the end of the day, for me, it's just for everybody to be honest. Sometimes we hear things that are not clear. You know, till today, the federal government has not come clean to say whether or not they are paying subsidy or not. But from what we've seen, it's clearly subsidy is being paid. And we know that in this true sense of a free market, I don't think there's really a free market. Government intervenes at some point or the other just to help the populace to be able to manage all of the things that could come if they totally hands off. But that clarity and that sincerity is what is expected at the end of the day. The NMPCL itself has to come clean and be honest with the people. The issue of forex is also a challenge. The problem here is that if things are not good, don't say they are good. If things are bad, say they are bad. The people will empathize and see what they can do to help you at the end of the day. So I just feel that everybody the country is for all of us. So this country does not belong to the PDP, it doesn't belong to the APC, it doesn't belong to Labour, it doesn't belong to any political party. It belongs to Nigerians. And so if we have to suffer together, let's suffer together. If we have to succeed together, let's succeed together. But someone out there, whether it's government, operators, regulators, has to be honest at all times to the people. Not this one that we have to find out what you were saying was true or false.
So let's have this honest conversation, Jeffrey, with the Chairman, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Ipman Oredepo. Engineer Shina Mo joins us virtually on the program this morning. Welcome to the Morning Brief, Engineer Mo.
Yeah, good morning.
Let's start from the basics. Do you have supply now?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Engineer Shina Mo, the Chairman of the depot, Ipman. There is no supply anywhere. For now, the little supply available is not well distributed. We have been making noise about this distribution pattern long ago. Especially, we had a kind of arrangement before now, where we used to enjoy 70-30, that is independent marketer, based on our strength. Based on our strength, if you go to maybe areas like villages, urban area, you see a lot of independent marketers where you may not be able to find any major or any semi-major. So for now, the supply available, we can't even talk of Ipman now about the supply. We are not being considered about the supply because go around, you could not see. If you have 50 petrol stations, you take a sample at random, 50 petrol stations from your population, as a population, you discover that only 3 or 8 could be selling products. And this product we are selling, we are getting them at premium. Virtually all the location we are buying the product from, they sell to us at the price they wish to sell, from the neighborhood of 750 to 850. All depends on the depot you are buying from. All the private depots, we have been solving more than enough over years. Instead of getting the product at the rate of 567 or so from NNPC, none of us could get product from NNPC over 2 to 3 years. If we could get any that could be loaded from NNPC directly, when you pay your draft today, you may end up picking that product in the next 3 to 5 months. So the product will have been eroded, the profit will have been eroded away. So we all prefer to go and be lining up in any private depot. I don't want to be mentioning their names. They sell the product to independent marketers at premium, 850, 800, 830. That is the situation for now.
All right, Mr. Ashina. So I want to act a bit naive for context, so that for general reference, walk us through how that space works. So as we speak, we know that NNPCL is the only importer of PMS. Walk us through how that space works and how it gets to you, so that Nigerians can understand some level of maybe an algorithm of operation, and to, on their own, be able to decipher where the problem is coming from.
Exactly. When you make, before now, when you make payment to NNPC cover, like in our depot, we make our payment through our depot to NNPC cover. When we have that payment made, we will now enroute the payment through don't let me tell you long story. So the summary is, when we now get to NNPC points for the payment, we will now be looking for like a week or so before loading. But these days, when you make the payment, there will be long procedure, bureaucracy, or whatever. Now, before you now access the product, takes you like 3 months or 4 months or so. Is either you'll be looking at your platform. When are you going to be given authority to pay? When are you going to be given authority to ship? And to ship means to load, and that will take a longer period. So for now, what we used to do as at these days is we'll go to the nearest depot around you. My people in our Akure, Akoko, Ekiti, and part of also a part of Delta that we govern, we always go to Ogara, Oko, just generally Delta State to source product from those private depots around there. Now the people closer to Ore and closer to areas getting to like Ogun State, we always go to Apapa. Now when you now make payment of like 800 naira per liter, you take it to your location with transportation of like 20 naira, 22 naira to land in Akure or to land in Ekiti. So that's what we are facing about loading and landing in the.
So, Mr. Ashina, if I understand you very well, so if I understand you as a layperson, it means that NNPC may be cheaper, but the time to deliver is longer. So the depots are faster, but for the depots, it's faster, but its premium is higher in price. Who supplies the depot?
NNPC supplies them.
Okay. So
I mentioned something initially about the distribution pattern.
Okay.
The year NNPC abandoned the distribution pattern, that was the year they left sincerity. Distribution pattern, they rated independent marketers higher before now. All of a sudden, they just abandoned that pattern, giving more volume to Dapman, Moman, and whoever. They now started giving us something minute, and that volume could not undo IPMAN activities about distribution, either to suburb or either urban or rural. We cannot even access it.
Mr. Mao, let's talk about the challenges here. A lot of people have said, oh, the challenge is because NNPC is seen as the sole importer of fuel in the country. So, about the discussion some have been having with the government of how possible is it to allow other people, maybe ease the process or something. Is there any discussion around allowing other people get to import fuel, and maybe this will somehow alleviate the sufferings that's going on currently in the country in terms of getting this available to all?
Well, other people could assess if government allows that.
So what is the problem now? Why is government not allowing that? That's the question.
Well, the major problem is just the subsidy issue. And I cannot blame the ministry or the president, because when you bring in subsidy, others should go and do importation, there will be theft, there will be fraud. A lot of things that have happened before now will still start to be in play. So for now, if NNPC is doing the importation solely, fine. Let NNPC do more about volume. And another problem that if it is solved, that will allow peace to reign in the sector is the area where NNPC, the sole importer of the product, stand as a referee between NNPC retail, Abebi, and IPMAN. We always get our any volume from NNPC, which stand between NNPC and NNPC retail. So if NNPC is giving NNPC retail, may not forever remember Ipman to get any litter until he's exhausted.
Well, there's a lot of conversation around the technicalities here. But what every Nigerian wants at this point, particularly those who don't know how that sector operates, is that they drive into any filling station and they get petrol, at least within the band, the price band, that is reasonable enough, not buying petrol for 800, 900, 1,000, or worse still, buying from black marketers. You recently gave a breakdown of how much you used to buy a 40,000-liter truck of petrol and how much it is now. So I want you to speak to that. How much did you used to buy it before? How much is it now? And give us a time frame. When you say before, is that like last year? And how much it is now? Engineer Mo.
The issue of price disparity, that happened before now. When the regulation thing came in, when subsidy was somehow stopped, that was when the product became something like 33 to 36 million naira, a 45,000 liters truck. Before now, we were doing 9,600,000 for a truck of 45,000 liters. You know, when you remove, when the regulation came in, the issue of that price of a thing, at least became something we may not be able to even explain. Because before now, we were like, a truck would be neighborhood of 6 later 9 million during the previous regime. But the current regime that removed subsidy brought it to this price we are doing now. Yeah, the president meant well, and is still meaning well for the sector. But the major thing is the corruption in the system. The sector requires total overhauling, a kind of state of emergency in this sector. If corruption is removed from our sector, we'll be able to enjoy better. Because if the people that are taking the product directly from NNPC, if they are doing the right thing, if you are giving product to, for example, my company name is Mania Petroleum. If I'm taking PFI from NNPC, TPR should be able to know where I'm taking this product to. Are my stations selling, or are my dealers diverting the product to somewhere? Because if the volume NNPC is bringing is limited, even if it's very small, if the volume are going to appropriate locations, if there are no what we call diversion, because all these things is becoming something else. A lot of people are suffering. And I left Lagos yesterday morning going to Akure. I could not access any product along Lagos to Ibadan. No single product, even high price or low price.
You're saying that there should be total overhauling. Are you saying that the hands should be changed? Everyone in charge should be taken out and probably new people brought in. Maybe there will be a difference in what is going on. Maybe they'll be able to work out what these people here have not been able to get over the years. Are you saying that hands should be changed?
My total overhauling as a sentence, as in an English, let me say, statement. The thing is, the government understands, the ministry understands, but they should be able to at least digest and do the needful.
All right. So if you're buying now for 32 million, 34 million, I did the math. If you divide that by 40,000, that's 755.
45,000 liters.
45,000. Well, you had said so that's about in the region of 700 plus. So brings me to the point. How then is NNPCL able to sell, and I'm talking about their retail outlets, how are they able to sell at a much lower price? And it takes us back to that question around subsidy. What will subsidy look like for you if you're still buying it at 34 million? Are you asking that there should be some sort of subsidy for you as well? Maybe government should try to help you bridge your costs so you can still deliver to the people at, is it 600 naira or even less? And how is NNPC able to sell at that price and you're not able to?
The issue is if NNPC could sell 580, there are opportunities where if NNPC wanted to work and work well effectively, NNPC could pick a depot in Apapa or in Ogara or anywhere it's good, pick a depot allow independent marketers to access product effectively. If we are picking our product from a depot, I can show you this scarcity of a thing. It has happened before now. The scarcity of a thing will become zero in the next 3 to 4 days because we will deliver to the urban, to the rural, and virtually every area. Now, even if it is doing 580, and we, the major player, we are not accessing the product. Go to many private depots in this country, many private depots in this country. You go there, you discover that you buy this product at 800, 850, 790, and when they take their product to their own station, I don't want to be mentioning names. You will see that they will be selling 600 naira, they will be selling 590, they will be selling 650, and they will be competing with us. How is it possible for us to compete in that area? Even if
Mr. Shina,
do the distribution in a better way.
All right, Mr. Shina, are you saying, it appears, correct me if I'm wrong, because NNPC is sole importer, NNPC is involved in upstream, midstream, downstream, retail. Literally, NNPC is all over the place. The only difference is that NNPC, for what it's doing, is almost like a price fixer, even if it's not an official price fixer, because their prices will force you to know where to adjust to. Is the NNPC being in all of the spaces a problem for this deregulated, quote-unquote, space?
NNPC may be trying our best. The thing is, NNPC cannot be everywhere. NNPC cannot give product to 30 private depot owners or whichever company. NNPC cannot still go there and stay to tell them, let all of us do the needful. Let's do this business in the right way. When NNPC comes in with the product, NNPC will distribute to the stakeholders. Let me say the private depot owners, either Moman, Dapman, whichever company. When they are taking this product, are they all doing the all righteousness? We have to help NNPC to survive and succeed in helping the masses. In the sense that when NNPC is giving the product to these people, we already sidelined. We don't have a particular place we can call our own, so that we can be able to. If you pay into NNPC cover, you pay.
So Mr. Shino, it appears you are saying NNPC is not. So where is the role of the NNDPR in all of this? So two questions in one as we wind down. Where is the role of the NNDPR in all of this? And which part of the value chain do you think NNPC should hands off to help this sector work better?
To work better, if NNPC should allow more importation. And in summary, let me just quickly say something. When we were looking at NNPC and we couldn't achieve all we are expecting, that's why many of us are praying for survival and sustainability of Dangote refinery, and we are praying for more to come in place. It is simply because when our own is not giving us what many of us are not in business. Several stations are locked or closed down by the issue of not having access to product. So if NNPC could allow more stakeholder, more participants in importation, the constraint is corruption. Even NNPC should allow more activities about monitoring, joining out with the DPR to go around monitoring who are taking the PFI, who are taking the product. Are they actually taking the product to the right locations? Are they allowing people to enjoy the dividend of having a good government? We have a good government in place. It's only the people that should allow the government in place to be successful. That is just the summary.
Well, I remember the last time we had you in studio, you had talked about, I think you had some tickets that you were expecting to, get products and all of that, but obviously that is not happening. But we'll see how the coming days play out. But it's important to reiterate that you've said you do not have supply anywhere, and so you have to get it from other places, and that is usually expensive. Chairman, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, or Depot, Engineer Shinamo, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We'll take a moment now. When we return, that conversation about the possibility of conducting drug tests for university entrance or tertiary institution entrance in Nigeria is next. And we have the spokesperson of the NDLEA joining us to speak about that. He wasn't the one who made the statement. It was another official of the NDLEA. We'll get to the heart of that this morning. Stay with us.
Welcome back. So let's talk about drug tests for students. That's a proposal coming from the NDLEA, the regulators and the people that enforce drug-related offenses across the country. The spokesperson of the NDLEA, Director of Media and Advocacy of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Mr. Femi Babafemi, joins us from Abuja today. It's good to see you, Mr. Babafemi. Most times we see you in your weekend writings of how you've been cracking down and burning places that are doing illegal stuff. But it's good to see you in person.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Babafemi, so let's get straight to it. Maybe you begin to unpack for us maybe a brief version of what this move by the NDLEA, I almost say NNPC, forgive me, the NDLEA, God, we're talking field, so you can't blame me. The NDLEA has made a move. The NDLEA has made a move concerning students as far as drug use is concerned. What's the rationale behind this?
Yes, when you look at the drug use situation in the country, it's actually not acceptable. That based on the 2018 National Youth Drug Survey, which gives us a figure of 14.3 million Nigerians aged 15 to 64 abusing illicit substances. That you cannot say is acceptable in any claim. And here in Nigeria, government have been very, very up and doing in this regard to ensure that we cut down not only on the supply, but also on the demand for this. And one of the efforts, it's some of the initiatives that the agency have put in place, whether through War Against Drug Abuse, Social Advocacy Initiative, or Save Our Families campaign, all of which are geared towards reducing the demand for substance or illicit substances by our citizens. And the drug test thing that came, it's actually not something new. The Chairman Chief Executive of the agency, General Mawa, actually started this campaign since 2021, and it's all part of the wider advocacy initiative, and it's not just limited or restricted to students. It's also something that we've been asking prospective couples, we've been asking those who are going for employment interviews, those even within who are working already, as well as even political office seekers. I'm sure you remember some years ago when there was to be an election, this also came up, and so it's something that has been ongoing, and we are glad indeed that quite a lot of institutions have bought into this policy and are already doing it. I can say, for instance, in the University of Abuja, it's one of the requirements for you to be admitted. You have to undergo drug screening, drug test, which the agency has been working with the university, and quite a lot of other institutions across the country are already doing this, including workplaces, government institutions. The NDLEA started it. We can't go out to say this is what people should do without doing it within our own organization. So we started that also, and we're taking it to other institutions, and we're glad that quite a lot of institutions and private organizations are already buying into it. The whole essence of that is first to prevent when people know that they are likely to be tested, for instance, before going to school, or that as fresh students, or before coming back as returning students. There is that level of deterrence. They want to be careful. They don't want to be caught in the web. Not that we are pushing that these people should be expelled from the school, but it's to enable authorities detect early and bring support or provide support to these people. For instance, if they are detected early, it's easier to treat at that point than to allow the situation deteriorate to the point of addiction or dependence, which becomes complicated and complex. So we don't want such situations, and that's why we're pushing for this. And good enough, again, the agency just in June this year, on that's the June 26th World Drug Day, we went a step ahead, a step further by initiating the Save Our Families campaign, which is also to mobilize families, homes. We produced in tens of thousands test kits. I mean, authentic, original test kits that people can, in the comfort of their homes, use, just as they use test kits to test their sugar or blood pressure. So this is also available for people to use in their homes to ensure, to see whether their kids, their wards are already abusing illicit substances. When their kids or their wards know that indeed their parents have this at home, they have to be more careful. They wouldn't want to do that. Even as an individual, it's something that I buy and give to my friends who come to visit. That's to show that it's something we all involved in. It's something that our commands across the country are also taking around. We have it in all our commands that everybody is talking about at those levels in all the advocacy campaigns or in all our sensitization lectures, just to mobilize everybody to see this as part and parcel of the process, the collective process to cut down on the demand for substance abuse. Just the same way people go when people want to go for wedding, they go for HIV test, they go for genotype test. The same thing we're pushing, that people should also make this as part of that process to help themselves and also help the society.
All right, so talking about helping themselves and helping the society, how will you now help them? For example, since we're focusing on tertiary institutions and students testing, walk us through how that will work. I know you have said you're working in partnership with these universities to do this test. So are those tests going to be conducted in the university? Are the results going to be assessed by the university or the NDLEA? And in cases where they find people culpable, what happens? Is it the NDLEA that will be providing that alternative treatment or whatever it is to help these people found to be culpable of this crime? I mean, what is the process like? Just how will it even work in terms of implementation?
Yes, we're treating this as a public health issue, so we're not treating it as a crime. Let me quickly put that in perspective. So whoever is tested, whoever tests positive to drug use in that situation, that's why I did say it in my earlier comments, that it's not punitive in nature. It's just something it's preventive. So we don't, that's why we work with these institutions, we collaborate with them so that the people who test positive are not punished or expelled from the school. They are taken for treatment. They are taken for treatment to get them, to wean them off these substances and also to get them reintegrated back into their classes, back into their academic pursuit. So basically when they are tested and they test positive, is to detect early and bring support for them. If perhaps some of these institutions have counseling and treatment centers, those that don't have, we have our command, we have 30 of our treatment and counseling centers across the country, and we have 3 more coming up in the next couple of weeks. All of these are provided for people to get support and treatment. And apart from that, we also have a 24-hour call center where we have mental health experts, counselors, clinical psychologists, psychotherapists, and psychiatric doctors that provide this also on telephone. We have a toll-free helpline that people can always call and get the needed support. All of these we provide to ensure that people are not just tested and left or abandoned, they also get support. And even right on our test kits, we have our toll-free helpline that people can, in the comfort of their home, call and get the needed support, guidance, and get support for those their loved ones that test positive.
All right. So let's just step back a bit and get some things clear. This suggestion, is it in force already or still at the realm of suggestion?
No, it's something that has been ongoing. I did say earlier that it's something that was introduced since 2021 by the chairman of the agency himself, General Maura. So it's not something,
no, I get that point. Pardon me. I mean that how many schools are now doing drug tests for prospective entrants? That's what I mean. Is that in force already?
Yes, quite a lot of schools are already doing that. I may not be able to say specifically the number of schools, but I can tell you that indeed quite a lot of both government and private institutions, they're already doing this. We work with them, we encourage them, and we also continue to push for those that are still not doing it to take it as a policy, as one of, as their internal policy to ensure that our students are made to, like I did say, don't forget that this is not just about students alone, it's something that cuts across all other strata of our society.
I just want to clear those things. So can you mention some of those schools? And it's also important to know what the model is. Who pays for this? Is it the NDLEA that supports, because you've produced kits? Is it the school that bears the burden, or the students that bear the burden? So you can tell us some of the schools that you've worked with actively and are still working with, and then who bears the cost?
Yeah, first is a test. If an individual goes to the hospital to get tested for malaria or any other ailment, you pay for that. It's not going to be borne by the hospital management or the owners of the hospital. So in this case, it's not something that is being borne by the NDLA or by any other individual. It's something that will be borne by the beneficiary of that service. So, but then ours is we provide the service free of charge, but the kit itself is not free. It's something that ranges between 5,000 and 10,000 naira. That depending on the type of kits being used. But then that is something that the individual will pay for. And talking of the institution, I did also say that earlier that University of Abuja specifically, I know that because some of their students come to our office here in Abuja, and I know that indeed we've had meetings with the management of the institution. I know also that they've been doing that, and quite a number of other private universities are also doing this. I may not be able to mention their names, but then I know these institutions across in all parts of the country. These are institutions, but because University of Abuja is a public institution, that's why I can mention their names. And I know it's not something that is also hidden. It's something they have come out publicly to also disclose in their public communication.
So help us walk through some of the things you intend to do when you have found them. You mentioned it, but maybe let me go back to, before I come to this particular question. It looks like the approach is more like for damage control. So for instance, what I mean by that is, the person may have taken the drug, and then you catch the person is a drug user, and whatever form of intervention you put out, whether in collaboration with the school or solo on the end of the school. What else is the agency doing to ensure that these students don't even get involved in the first place? Because they say prevention is actually quite more cheaper and is better than cure.
Absolutely. It's said that on us spent in prevention is worth a pence in law enforcement or in treatment. So definitely it's cheaper, and that's why we're driving the advocacy first to sensitize the people. That's the whole essence of our war against drug abuse, wider social advocacy, to mobilize everybody to buy in and take ownership of this whole campaign, to raise the level of awareness, because when people get to know about the dangers of what they are going to go into, there is that tendency that they want to restrain or abstain from that. First is to raise awareness, which we're doing. All our commands across the country work with civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, to go to schools, marketplaces, workplaces, communities, and everywhere. Every week, we produce short videos of this every weekend, which we share on our social media and do all of these activities to raise awareness first, so that people will understand the dangers of abusing these illicit substances. That is one. Two, and that another level is to provide the test kits that will enable people to discover, to clear their doubts, whether indeed their words or their children are already abusing these illicit substances, which will first serve as, provide a deterrent effect, and at the same time also facilitate early detection and treatment, treatment when that is discovered. Apart from that, we also go a step further by providing services on our own, counseling and treatment services in all our commands. And for those that cannot even access those commands due to space or time, then we also have a toll-free helpline where we provide the same support that people will walk into a rehab center, a treatment center to get. So all of these we're doing to ensure that we cut down on the demand for these illicit substances.
All right, Mr. Babafemi, so in terms of following up right now, is it just for the 4 years where these students will be in school? We know what drug does. Most times you start it and then rehabilitation comes and then rehab and treatments and they're fine. And in another, maybe after some years, they go back to it again. So is there any platform to help follow up on these people who maybe fall victim of this? Because you've said it's not a crime, it's just a health issue that you want to help them tackle. So after they leave school, is there any platform that helps them say, okay, like a group? I know abroad they have groups where they're like checking up on each other, knowing that, okay, they haven't gone back to this drug and all of that. What is your follow-up plan like for these students after they leave school?
Thank you. Even right from the school, we don't also leave them alone. That's why we have WADA clubs, or what we call drug-free clubs within these schools, where, just like you said, just to provide some peer support for each other or one another. For those that are not abusing illicit substances yet, this club work with school authorities, work with the NDLA to raise awareness, to encourage those that are out of it to keep clean. That is one. And for those, and this is not a one-off thing. The test, it's not a one-off thing. That's why we encourage right from the homes, right from the families. Even when they are on break or when they are when they have graduated, these students have graduated, when they are in their homes, their parents can still go ahead and be doing this. And we have quite a lot of parents that are working with us on all of this. So it's not a one-off thing. It's something that you have to do until that person builds that level of resilience that will be able to resist the pressure or the temptation of going into substance abuse. So it's not something that is one-off. It's something that has to continue. It has to be persistent. We have to. So that's why these initiatives or this system is being built across all layers, starting from the homes, even religious places, worship centers, workplaces, and even in the institution. So wherever you may be, wherever bracket you fall in, there is that system in place there to be able to conduct this drug test, so that, and when you know that whether you are going to be going to school, you have that possibility of going through a drug test, you are going to be getting employment, you have that system in place for drug tests. Whether you are going to be going for marriage, you have also that system in place for drug tests. So all of these will put such individuals in check, so that they won't be able to succumb to the pressure or the temptation of going into substance abuse.
And, well, we must commend the NDLEA for the work being done, particularly for, young people who, of course, are vital to our nation. Imagine if we had this pandemic really widespread. You can only imagine what the future of our nation would be. But that's on the one hand. On the other hand is you then have people who are in charge of millions of lives. I'm talking about politicians. Either you're running for National Assembly, State Assembly, you're running for governor, you're running for president, what have you. I know there's been that proposal, but when are we going to start having drug tests for political office holders? Mr. Babafemi, these people are responsible for the lives of millions. One decision they make can topple the nation or a state or a local government. So when is that coming through? I know that General Buba Marwa had spoken about this, but when are we going to have that one for politicians, those who want to vie for office?
Again, I'll tell you that indeed, this is a public health issue, which, I mean, it's something that has been ongoing. Again, I would say, I know, for instance, a state in Nigeria where this was adopted as a policy for anybody going for any appointment. For you to get an appointment in that state, or for you to get into an elective office in that state, you have to undergo drug test. In fact, let me be specific. That's Kano State. under former Governor Ganduje. It was a state policy. So it's not something that is, the political parties, the chairman of the agency indeed wrote all political parties then, not just targeting those at the top, even right from the grassroots, from the councillors, councillors, chairmanship positions and contesting for houses of assembly, national assembly, all across board.
Mr. Babafemi,
it's not
this
just
should be in the electoral law. I think this should be put in the electoral law, mandatory, not political parties. INEC, just as we have schools, let INEC be the one to at least conduct it, or some sort of arrangement that is not within the powers of the political party. That's when we'll have some real change. So are you saying, for example, that former Governor Ganduje took a drug test, rather, or the current governor took a drug test before he came into office? You know, these are the issues, Mr. Babafemi.
Yes, you know, this is not in the law. This is just an advocacy initiative. It's just something we're encouraging the society. It's just something we're encouraging all stakeholders to buy into, to take, just like nobody, it's not in the law for anybody to go for HIV and AIDS test or genotype test before they get, they get married. But people do it voluntarily. So we are also, if perhaps, we can't say tomorrow or some years, this may be in the law, but before then, we are advocating that this can be adopted as a... Yes, please.
So that I'll put it on record. So for the students now, is it going to be a law for them to be tested?
Sorry, can you come again?
I said for the students, is it going to be a law for them to be tested? Is that what you're pushing for, the NDLEA?
Yeah, we're pushing for that, for this initiative, to be adopted as a policy, internal policy within these institutions, just like a lot of government institutions are doing it.
But it's not in the law.
It's not in law, but it's an internal policy.
That's why we're saying that if you're pushing as hard as you're pushing for students, why can't the organization or the agency push as hard as possible for political office holders who are even more dangerous when they go awry managing our commonwealth?
Yes, for the political office holders, don't forget that I did say that indeed we tried to work with some of the political parties then, and some of them bought into it. That I can tell you. And again, I did also say that even a state government even adopted this as part of their policy in the state then. And I should think that that system is still ongoing in that state, because it's a state. It was a state policy, and I know that it's something well accepted in the state. And even just recently, I was at a wedding with the chairman of the NDLA, General Ma himself, where this was also, when they were bringing up their certificates for HIV genotype, they presented the drug test also, which was very exciting. It was...
All right, Mr. Babafemi, let's just wind up. But I must say this, because we also must commend the NDLA for what they are doing. I think that the budget, your budget is about 50 billion. Is that enough? Do you need more money?
You said what?
I say your budget, I think, is about 50 billion. We are commending you for some of the work you have done so far as NDLEA in repositioning the agency. Under General Buba Marwa. The money you have, because I know that more than half of that money goes to overhead and personnel, leaving just less than about 20 billion for whatever capital expenditure you have to do. Is that sufficient? Is that something you want to say to the government now to, maybe mark up a bit?
Absolutely. The kind of work we do affects every strata of the society. So, this really demands a lot of support. And we're glad that indeed the government is well seized of this situation. And we're also appreciative that the government is doing its best to support us along with all our other stakeholders. We're glad. But then it's not, we can't say it's enough at the moment, because we have quite a lot in the area of enforcement, and again in the area of bringing support to those who are struggling with substance abuse. We need more support. That I can tell you very well, and we appreciate that.
All right, Mr. Femi Babafemi, Director of Media and Advocacy of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Thank you so much, sir. But we must tell you, as this electoral Act is being, looked at to be amended, I think the NDLA should push harder enough to ensure that drug test is mandatory for all aspiring political office holders. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you. It's always my pleasure.
All right, we will take a quick break. And we did tell you at the beginning of the show that a 73-year-old is a fitness enthusiast. When you see her, you will understand. She's defying the odds, inspiring even some of us. We'll get to meet her in just a moment. Join us again.
Welcome back. This is still the morning brief right here on Channels Television. And now we're talking about physical health. Well, they say that fitness is not about losing weight. It is about gaining life. So today on the show, we have a 73-year-old who says that she only looks that way up, but when you go down, she doesn't look that way. But she is Rosalind Umar, a health and gym enthusiast who takes fitness and wellness very seriously, and she's right here in the studio with us. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. And now I understand when you say, oh, it's just looking 73 up there, but in terms of your strength and every other thing, you don't look 73. So how did this all start for you? What inspired this decision? You started at 71, I know. So before 71 years old, nothing inspired you to get into this fitness world and take it seriously?
Not really, because in my generation, we didn't know much or anything about keeping fit or going to the gym or exercising. Fortunately, I was a member of Ikoyi Club, but I really didn't do anything until when I developed arthritis in my knees. And the doctor said I was too young to have surgery done on my knees, and so I should swim and exercise, strengthen the muscles, my hamstrings and my quads. So I did that for almost 14 years. And it would help you, but it doesn't really, it would only stave off the ultimate time when you need to do your surgery. I chose to do surgery. So I had major surgery. I'm a bionic woman here. It's all replacement parts in my bodies and my knees. And after my surgery and my knees were now okay, some 6-7 years ago, then I stopped going to the gym because the gym is not interesting. It's a lot of hard work.
It is.
It's very difficult. I didn't go in the first place because I wanted to go. I went because my doctor told me to go. And now that there was no need for me to go anymore, I'd rather sit at home and just chill.
And so when did the seriousness start for you then?
What now happened was, after my surgery, when I recovered, I went back to my usual, in quotes, useless lifestyle. Just sitting at home, eating, drinking. My hobby is reading and reading. It wasn't even the eating that got me into trouble, because I'm a very disciplined eater. I don't eat in between meals. I don't eat junk food. But the sedentary lifestyle, just sitting on the couch from morning till night, reading your Kindle. My husband and I live alone. All our children are grown up and away. And we're addicted to Scrabble. And we will play Scrabble till about 12 midnight, him cheating most of the time. And there we are. And I didn't know I was... And anyone, even young people, workers who sit for too long behind their computer, it's not good to sit for too long. I was sitting and lying in bed for too many hours. And by my 70s, I now developed another health issue. This time, raised blood sugar level, pre-diabetes. And my doctor again warned me, you have to make major lifestyle changes to reverse what is happening to you so that you don't become a full-blown diabetic. And this was abroad. When we came back, I was 71 then. When we came back, my husband, who is very fit, he's played tennis the last 60 years of his life, and one day was going to his club, and he, on his own, voluntarily registered me in a gym. Like I said, we live alone. I don't keep a maid. I chose not to keep a maid for the last 10 years. So I do a lot of housework, cooking. My husband is not particularly helpful in that department. So he's own scared that, look, if this woman becomes diabetic and ill, so due to his own selfish reasons, because I don't know why he was rushing to go and register me in a gym when I didn't tell him that I want to go to a gym.
But it's paying off now.
I wasn't too pleased when he came back that day and said he registered my money. Abubakar, who sent you? Anyway, I went. He paid 3 months in advance for gym membership and a trainer. And here I am today.
Oh, wow. Wow. Kudos, I mean, we have to give him kudos for even registering you, because I'm sure you're enjoying that life right now. And you've seen a very huge difference from where you're coming from and where you are right now. So for people listening at home who are not very particular about fitness, some say, oh, I'm not fat. So fitness is not about fatness, it's not about losing weight, it's a lot more about health. So in terms of health and the huge difference you've seen, maybe your words would inspire someone out there listening about the huge difference it has been able to make in your life, in your health.
You are absolutely correct. Fitness has nothing to do with your weight. I had added on some weight, all right, and for my health issue, pre-diabetes, it helps if you lose 5 to 10% of your existing weight. But you can be fat and be healthy, and you can be big, and it's all muscles. So when I went to the gym and started, I was lucky to get a first-class trainer, a guy called Mike Enuma. He's a chemical engineer by training, but he loves working out with people, and he never worked as an engineer, only as a fitness trainer. And he said, for your age, you are suffering massive muscle loss. And any one of you, even you young woman, as from 30, 40, you start losing your muscle mass. Muscle mass loss, I mean. 1.5%, 2%, and by our age, we are losing about 10, 11%, maybe less, I'm not too sure, annually. But it creeps on you. You don't know you are losing your muscle mass. That's why older people tend to become frail. And your grandmother or aged mother, you always want a maid to be with her to hold her handbag. And she walks, she totters, she's careful. And because they've lost... Look at me saying they, as if I'm not in that category.
Don't worry, we welcome you to the Gen Z category.
Welcome you to this Gen Z world.
Because you are losing your muscle mass percentage, you tend to fall. You have falls. From 65, it's easier for we matured people to have a fall, have a fracture, that you don't recover from. So my wonderful trainer now said, you should concentrate, and all old, matured people who come should focus more on strength training exercises.
You know, I can actually listen to you all day. There's just some beauty listening. Of course, there's a beauty, there's a wisdom, there's a way you string together your words. And we maybe need to bring your husband for his rejoinder, for the Scrabble
his right of reply.
Exactly, his right to reply. The Scrabble part and registering you in a gym. And I know that that's another conversation entirely, because there's also the home front, having that beautiful relationship that helps you. I am particularly always intrigued by your sneakers. So it looks like you have a lot of them. I keep looking out. The next video is a different sneakers, and it always matches, right? So there's also the fashion angle. But I want you to walk us through the routines that you engage in. I know there are a lot of people who are watching you right now and said, that is my dream life, right? And of course, there's a caveat. Not everybody should try this without medical advice, but talk us through your routines. And I understand that you're trying to go into martial arts. I don't get it, but
so
let's start.
That's her husband.
That's the corporate, right?
My husband is 77, and he is very strong. We train together now. He was so impressed with what the changes he was seeing on my body, the difference in my strength, that he hired that same trainer, and he's been on it for a year. And he took up boxing. He's a better boxer than I am.
Wow. What is it that you don't do?
Exactly. We can have a full conversation on this. I love the fashion. I love the look. You guys are like rock stars, even though you're septuagenarians. But then talk us through your routines, because I think it's important to see what is safe and what is not safe at this age.
When you start going to the gym, whether you're a young person or a matured person, I always advise to take a trainer, because it's an art. Even all those equipments, yes, you've paid for membership, you've gone in. Trainers are expensive.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to pay, and you look at, or you go to YouTube, you look at the way it's done, how it's demonstrated, and you say to yourself, you can do it. Well, yes, you can. But there are nuances, there are things that you have to be shown. You want to stoop and pick something, a weight, for example, a dumbbell, and you bend. Your trainer would immediately, yeah, you said, oh, I've picked it, you bend. You don't bend, you stoop. You bend your ass like you want to sit on a toilet bowl. If you are not shown how to do it, you will be doing that exercise, but you are doing it the wrong way. And it's having no effect on your body.
And it's even making things worse.
Yes, it's having no effect on your body. And then a trainer, when you have issues, for matured people, from our 60s, we start having health things. Your body is degenerating, almost like computer breakdown. So the back, the spinal cord is something is sitting on one nerve, a sciatic nerve, your hip bone, in my case, my knees. So there are certain exercises you can't do. It is the trainer who immediately notices, like I have problems with my shoulders. I can't lift behind and lift weights. He knows the substitute exercises that would still benefit you from that thing that particular part of your body cannot do. So he shows you, but because they're expensive, I also advise people, use them for 1 or 2 months, memorize the moves they've shown to you, and then you can continue on your own.
So when you get to the gym, I'm imagining that we've seen skits of people going to the gym, and they walk into the gym and they see people doing all kinds of strenuous training, like what brought me here? And they literally want to walk out. So walk us through the first time you stepped into the gym. My assumption is that perhaps you see a lot of young people. How did that make you feel, and how were you able to psychologically break in and get your space that now you're doing things that even some young people can't do?
When I first went to the gym, I had no eyes for no one else. I wasn't they were invisible as far as I was concerned. I went there for myself. I went there for a purpose. And I just focused, and so my trainer showed me what. The first 6 months in the gym, I spoke to no one. I'm coming there to exercise. It's not a social gathering. I have not come to make friends or, Bawoni, what are you doing? What's happening after? No, I've just come to do my exercise. And I was working 3 hours daily, 5 days a week, for the first 1 year.
3 hours every day?
Mm-hmm. But I use 1 hour for cardiovascular, and then I use 2 hours for strength training.
What's the heaviest you've lifted?
Depending, like now, if I'm doing bench press, I can lift 12.5 kilos, and many women can lift 12.5 kilos. But I started with 2.5. That is a kettlebell. Right. I can lift 25 kilos. Wow. But when I started, I mean, the first day I worked out at the gym, which was next to nothing, 2.5 kilos, just go on the stepping board. And before I did that, my trainer had put me on the elliptical machines for like 5 minutes. Then I came to the stepping board. The whole was just 30 minutes. And he said, Mama, you said, no, come
I'll be going home.
Yeah, because I wanted to come to that question, because a lot of people, when they are inspired to go to the gym or to do exercises at home, there's perhaps a health issue, or they just want to be fit. They want to just start straight on. They want to launch.
No, but you can't, even if you want to. Man proposes. Your flesh is, your spirit is willing, but your flesh is, you can't do it. Your own body will. That 30 minutes. I now started, I don't know if I was hallucinating, this duet by Wycliffe Jean and Mary J. Blige, call 911. I said, I didn't call 911. Please call 911. Ambulance siren. I'm
in trouble.
They said, you know it. That was what I thought I was hearing that day. Yeah. 30 minutes of the least weight. And my trainer said, please, ma, you better be going. And I said, do I come tomorrow? No, I don't come tomorrow. But I went back. I went the following day.
Yes, you know, I like continued. how all-toned you are. And if you ask anyone at 73, sometimes you see flappy, everywhere. But you are really toned.
Strength.
And then it's strength and also muscle building, because you said you're building that. So when you talk about diets now and food, comparing fitness and eating, some will say they can eat whatever they want to eat, and maybe in another 1 week I'll go to the gym and burn it off. Does it work that way, where you can actually eat whatever you want to eat, because when you get to the gym, you get it all burned out?
I'm not really the right person to give any advice
in your own experience. In your own experience.
Because, like I say, at 73, let's face it, I'm in the departure lounge of life. My husband's 77. If God gives us another 10, 15 years, we've done quite well. And I don't see any reason why I shouldn't eat and drink anything that I like at this end stage of my life.
Okay.
So, but what I preach to anyone, even my children, is controlled portion. You don't say because you like pounded yam. My husband, he comes from an area where they make pounded yam. I always make it at home. Or in my place, we eat starch. Then you eat like a boa constrictor, python. You eat, you can't even get up later. That's disgusting. I say I like beer. Then I will, and I can afford it. Then I drink a carton of beer. Or even Coke. Everything should be done in moderation. Small portions, just enough portion to fill you, but not for you to be overfed. So we eat small portions twice a day and never eating in between meals. But we eat any and everything that we like, but modest, controlled
And now food is even more expensive, so...
Intermittent fasting is what a lot of people are doing now.
For everybody.
I must say, you're such a delight.
Just a delight to talk to. We just want to keep listening to you.
Exactly. What we'll do is we'll take a moment and you maybe show us one of your favorite routines. So maybe you could just walk us through. So I'm just preparing your mind now. So we'll watch a video of yours And then when we come back, the people watching us will get a chance to, see you. The 73-year-old rock star.
See you in action.
Showing us what she does best. So are you ready for this, man?
Okay.
All right. So just watch your video for a moment and then get ready on this one.
Right here. 73. We need to keep emphasizing that.
Yes.
She's here to just show us exactly what she does, briefly, so that it doesn't look like we're just saying things that are not true. So, madam.
You start the day with warming up.
Okay.
Stretches. Do this.
Ooh, there you go.
There you go. We're watching you, and we're following you.
So you do this every day?
This loosens the body,
right.
The stiffness because most of us go to work out in the gyms in the mornings. I work out in the morning, so one is still stiff, it loosens your body.
Okay.
And then you start, let's say, I will use body weight to do squatting.
Squats.
Squat works on your leg muscles, and that is what will tone your thighs.
So just to protect us, we'll do it for 30 seconds.
Somebody breathing, go down.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Well, maybe I'm not well dressed for this film. Please excuse me.
So that is a goblet.
And you just
squat.
stretch. You just stretch.
I should just stretch. Okay.
Beautiful.
Then you can also, if you have, there are some you do against the wall, or one that is quite difficult for older people is what we call balance. If you can stand, leave your eyes open, stand on one leg for say 30 seconds, so you have a good balance.
Right.
You see, younger people can do it. It's a lot more difficult for
even though it's on heels, but I'm still doing it.
Wow.
And it's this balance most matured people don't have.
Let me do the left balance. Mm-hmm. This is left balance.
Then this is another balance.
Okay.
Right balance. Okay.
You guys are enjoying this too much. We have to run now.
And then you go forward for another 30 seconds. This is easier, but this is also balance.
Wow. We need to have you come back, particularly with your hobby. I think it would be great to have that
I'll probably will be well dressed to explore all of it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rosalind Umar. She's a gym and health enthusiast, and at 73, she's doing it. So what's your excuse?
And she's learning Aikido, right?
I'm starting that now.
I like that martial art part also. Probably this should inspire you watching right there, out there, to know that there is no excuse. You should be bigger than your excuse. They say fitness and wellness is a requisite for happiness. But that's where we end today's edition of The Morning Brief. It's been amazing. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawoju.
So I leave you with this balance. Goodbye. I'm Jeffrey.
Here's wishing you a good work-life balance. Sunrise Daily is next. Stay with us right here on Channels Television.
See you.
I'm Carter.